description is filed. What we do ask, though, is that in relation to zoning, is that if you are splitting land that's less than 40 acres, that you do have that survey reviewed by me in order to make sure that you are in compliance with the zoning regulations. I would also add that the county does not do private survey work, so you cannot call the county public works department and say, hey, can you come out and survey this property line or survey this person's land to make sure that it's got the minimum acreage. The county does not do that. The county does do survey work for township people, for road projects, or we will do survey work for our own road projects, but we do not do private survey work for individuals. In order to get that, you would just have to contact a registered land surveyor to get that kind of work performed. Okay? I hear a lot of calls from public works on that type of situation. Unfortunately, we don't do survey work for private individuals. Like I said, in 2014, we changed the policy, and I believe that's being handed out right now, and you can read it. Pretty much the only type of surveys that are required to be reviewed are going to be the ones that are being done for subdivisions, condominiums, townhomes, and then there's a checklist on the back. So if you're doing a private survey for whatever reason, whether it's splitting of land or if it's just updating a survey on a piece of property, we are not requiring that to be reviewed by the county. What you would do then, if you want that to be reviewed, is you would take that to another surveyor that has an office in the county, and at that point in time, then they can review that for the technical end of it, for the legal description, make sure there's a north arrow, make sure it's to scale. The county does not provide that service to individual surveys anymore, unless it is for a subdivision or a condominium. And that would hold true for anything that's in the city as well. Again, you can kind of read the policy in here. I can try and answer some questions on that if you have it, but I'd like to maybe now kind of get back into my realm and really focus on the next topic, and that would be the farmstead splits. In 2016, the county adopted new zoning and subdivision regulations. And we're speaking strictly for the zone area of the county right now, which is mainly the eastern third of the county. The old rule, as you might have guessed, was a 10 acre minimum to split a farmland out in the rural parts of the county. That received, I think, a lot of concerns, a lot of complaints from people that are farmers right now. They did not like that rule. They wanted to just split off a minimum amount of acreage in their farmstead in order to just get rid of the house and keep the farm ground as their income. And that's the story that I heard over and over, is that I don't want to do 10 acres, I'd like to do less. So in order to do less than 10 acres, you have to go through a rezone process. That rezone process is like a 60-day process, and that wasn't really a great option for the farmers. And so 2016, when we did a comprehensive rewrite of our zoning regulations, we looked at that issue and we reduced that acreage to only between 3 and 7 acres. That seemed to help the farming community a lot. They really kind of appreciate the fact that now they can just go out, do a survey between 3 and 7 acres, file it with me for review. It's called an agricultural lot split. That agricultural lot split application gets reviewed by me for compliance with the zoning. It gets reviewed by the health department for compliance with the sanitation code. Once that process is complete, the owner gets a copy of their signed survey, and they're free to go ahead and split that land. And there's not a rezone process to go through. There's not a public hearing process to go through. It's just all done administratively. So we think that the farming community is liking that, although recently now we're hearing the other way that people want to do more than 7 acres. They want to do 10 acres, and so it's one of these things where it's hard to win. We thought we were doing some people now are wanting the 10 acres, but the new rule is between 3 and 7. The standard in the agricultural district, and agricultural zone properties are properties that are 40 acres or more. Our standard is 2 homes on that 40 acres. And so if somebody has a house and they want to split that house off, they can do that with an agricultural lot split between 3 and 7 acres. They're required to show all the buildings on there. They're required to show the well. They're required to show the wastewater system on there. And the reason for that is that we can review that here at the staff level to make sure that all of those buildings remain in compliance with the zoning setback requirements and the sanitation code requirements. I can tell you a quick story. We had a gentleman that wanted to split off a 3.5 acre piece of land. It was vacant land, but ended up being the property line was potentially too close to the wastewater system. So there is on that other property. So there is a method to our madness in that sense. We don't want to allow somebody to split off a piece of ground and make a building or a wastewater system a well non-compliant. That creates a lot of issues. What happens is if that building should burn down or be destroyed by any means, the person may not necessarily be allowed to rebuild that building in the same spot. We don't want to have that type of situation. So, like I say, 2 reasons that we did that was the farming community was asking for us to reduce the acreage out there in the agricultural zoning district. And then the other thing we were also hearing was, right or wrong, true or not true, is that banks were having some difficult times loaning on the 10 acres. They did not want to do that, and so that was the other request that we heard from the community out there was to reduce the amount of acreage. A lot of it was, too, that farmers don't want to give up any kind of farmland. They want to keep that for their income, so they just want to cut a little piece out, around the house and keep the rest of the farm ground for their retirement income. So we try to accommodate them with that, and mixed results, I would say, right now since 2016. I think people appreciate the process. They don't have to go through a 2-month process in order to be able to just split off their land. But again, zoning regulations are something where I don't think you can please everybody by any means. Kind of follow up with that thought. You do the agricultural lot split between 3 and 7 acres. Then if the farmer should want to sell the remaining acreage, then that new buyer can in turn build a house on what we call the remnant parcel. Even though it would be less than the 40-acre minimum, another person could build a second house on that 40 acres out there. And so the standard we set again was 2 houses per 40 acres with an entry, without going through a process. If you want to have another house on that 40 acres, then essentially what you're telling the county is that this is no longer farm ground, that this is now more residential ground than farm ground. And so at that point in time, if you want to have that 3rd house or 4th house out there, you're going to have to go through the rezone process, and then you're going to have to go through the planning process. Planning process out there in the county is it's a very long process, like it would be in any city, but that is something that is available to people should they choose to do it. One big difference, I think, in the county is that you'll be required to build your own public road. And we're going to be doing that with your money, meaning the owner's money. The owner would have to submit the cost of that road to the county, and then the county would be the one that would be contracting out that to build that road. So when you see that it's like 2 houses per 40 acres, that's to do that just very nice and easy. Administratively, not going through a rezone or anything like that. If you want to do more than that, now you're looking at a big zoning process to do that, and that may or may not be approved, but that is the standard that we set right in the county. Next topic, 3-mile zoning. It's kind of amazing here. that I still get questions on the 3 mile zoning. Back in 1958, the county zoned 3 miles around the city of Hutchinson at the request of the city of Hutchinson. The county has never really initiated zoning. It's always been at the request of a city or at the request of a township trustee to zone their portion of their township. The county has never taken the initiative to actually go out and say why we want to have zoning out into the county. But anyway, 1958, we did zone 3 miles around the city of Hutchinson. Since then, 1989 is the next date here. We zone the rest of the county, mainly north of the city of Hutchinson and over in the Beulah area. So, with that, the county is completely zoned from the city limits of Hutchinson north to the county line, and it's zoned out to the Nickerson area, and it's zoned all the way out to the Beulah area and the county line to the east. I think in your handouts you've got a copy of our zoning map. The zoning map wasn't intended to let you see what a particular property is zoned or not. Due to the scale, what the intent of that handout really was is to let you know where we have zoning and where we don't have zoning. So if you're in the white area of the county, you are unzoned and there are no zoning regulations that would apply to that. Now, I would caution you, I get many questions on that, how many acres do I need to have, out in this area of the county? And my answer to that is very simple. You can do whatever you want. Do whatever. If you want a half acre, you can have a half acre. If you want 22 acres, you can have 22 acres here. But I always caution people that what you do could have serious implications on the sanitation code, and Darcy will probably touch on that a little bit later. So if you want a half acre out in the county in the unzoned area, I have no issues with that in the unzoned area. However, the sanitation code is going to kick in at that point, and that person may not like the answers that they get from the health department. So I always caution people, say, no zoning, you can do what you want. I would advise you to talk to the sanitation department staff to get their take on how much acres you want to do. I always suggest at least 3.5 to 4 acres is what you should probably do out there. But again, I don't have any rules out there to guide them. So the city of Hutchinson does not have what we call an extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. So what that means is that if you are outside the city limits of the city of Hutchinson, then you are under my jurisdiction. The city does not control any land outside of their city limits. The city of South Hutchinson does have a 3 mile extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. The city of Nickerson has another 3 mile zoning jurisdiction. Cities of Beulah and the city of Haven have roughly a 1 mile jurisdiction. If you look at that map that you have in there, that southeast corner of the county that is actually white, that is actually a pocket of area that is currently unzoned. However, I would tell you that we are having a public hearing next Tuesday at 4:30 at the Public Works Department to consider adding zoning to that area of the county. And it's been mainly a response from the citizens that live in that part of the county requesting zoning due to the recent wind farm situation that you might have heard about here. So the citizens down there would like to have zoning down there so that they can at least receive a notice from me about a public hearing for any type of future wind farm may go down there or any other type of land use. So we're going to consider that next Tuesday, and then that recommendation will go forward to the Board of County Commissioners probably sometime late March. And so we'll see what happens with that. So the map that you have may be changing, but anything that's further out west or south of where those yellow boxes are, which is the Yoder Habit area, currently that is not being considered for expansion of zoning right now. So if you're on the western part of the county or in this area New flood maps. It's been a very long process with the new floodplain maps. I'm currently the floodplain administrator for the county as well. That's the other hat that I wear. We started the process of getting new flood maps for the Cow Creek and Arkansas watershed probably back in 2014, actually. Through a series of delays with FEMA disasters, that project has been delayed a lot, put on hold for those reasons here. I'm happy to say that we are kind of in the final stages of those new maps, although I don't really have a lot of additional information with that. I can tell you that in April of 2018, we held a public hearing, public open house for citizens to come and look at those new maps. They gave us a lot of comments, suggested changes to those maps, and the engineering company took those changes and made the adjustments in the map. This past October of 2019, we just concluded the 90-day protest period for those maps where citizens could file a formal protest with FEMA to argue whether those maps are accurate or not. It's something that they had to provide engineering data and certification on. It's not something they can say that, oh, this area never floods. They have to provide documentation through pictures, maybe engineer survey, stuff like that, to prove to FEMA that their map is accurate. That period, like I said, has passed, and so FEMA and their contract engineer is currently looking at all those changes and making any kind of adjustments that need to be made right now. As far as the adoption of those maps, I don't know. I've told a lot of people in the audience, I'm sure, probably this summer sometime. I was expecting to get more information by this meeting. I wasn't sure if I was going to have it in January. I thought I would have had it by now, but really what I'm waiting on is what they call the LFD, or the Letter of Final Determination. That Letter of Final Determination is a letter that FEMA sends out to the county, letting them know that the maps have been reviewed, they've been accepted by FEMA, and then that lets the county know that we have 6 months to essentially adopt a brand new resolution, or if you will, ordinance, a new floodplain ordinance, and adopt those maps. And so that's the letter that I'm waiting on, and that letter will tell me what date the maps will be official and stuff, and it's usually a 6-month period. So once I get that letter, the county has 6 months to do that. I don't have the letter, so I don't have the exact date, but it's February right now. 6 months later, you're probably going to be looking at somewhere in August or maybe September right now for the adoption of those maps. The maps are in the preliminary stage right now, but they are available to view. I've got a website where you can view them, or if you want it, you can just contact my office and I can send that to you. But I'll read it here. I'll try and read it slow. It's gis2.kda.ks.gov, and then it's /GIS/Reno. That is the proposed map. An easier thing you can probably do is you can probably just Google Reno County floodplain map, and you'll probably get to that website right there. A lot of properties are being taken out. I think the city of Nickerson is having half of their city removed from the floodplain. A lot of properties in the county are going into the floodplain, and some properties are actually coming out. But as you probably know, floodplain really never goes down. It seems like they always want to increase floodplain, in the county. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Really, it's just kind of in a holding pattern right now. I did receive another email that we were going to be starting another floodplain project. That's going to be for the the Nenaskaw watershed. So everything from the Nenaskaw River south is going to be now studied and possibly redone. That's gonna be years away. You know, it might be 5 years before those maps get adopted, but they're trying to do a project right now to update that area of the county as well. So, last topic that I was told to speak on was driveway requirements since the fires, and don't really have a lot of information on that other than I will tell you that the county does not regulate personal driveways once you get out of the road right of way. And so I think probably the question was related to, you know, is there a certain driveway width, or should trees be cleared in order for rescue personnel, fire engines to be able to get down to some of these houses and properties that are half a mile, quarter mile off of the road? And the answer to that is no. The county does not regulate driveway width or driveway maintenance. What we regulate is when you access a property off of your property right there, the right of way. And so if you have a new development, then if you're on a blacktop road, then you need to get a driveway permit from the Reno County Public Works Department. That is a $50 fee. The way that works is the homeowner is required to make application for that. They buy the pipe that goes into the right of way, and then the county staff there will inspect that pipe for compliance with our policies. Once the county accepts that pipe, then that pipe essentially becomes the county's responsibility, and then we will maintain that pipe for the life of that pipe. If it needs replacing, we will replace it. If it gets damaged or if it gets plugged, all that homeowner would have to do is contact the Public Works Department. We will put a work order in, and we will send our guys out there to see if that pipe can be repaired. If it can be repaired, then they will do that. Or if it needs cleaning out, we will do that. But the homeowner is responsible for that initial cost of that pipe and installing it according to the policies of the County Public Works Department. If you're on a township road, which is essentially a dirt road for all intents and purposes, then you just need to contact that township trustee. There are 33 townships in the county, and I can almost probably guarantee you there's going to be 33 different policies out there on what they require. So if you or the property owner needs that information, you can certainly contact my office, and I can get you the contact for that trustee. There's a few blacktop roads in the county that are actually township roads. I can think of Kent Road out east of Hutchinson. That's one that is a blacktop road. That's actually a township road, but essentially it's very easy to remember. If you're on a blacktop road, then you are with the County Public Works Department. If you're on a township road, then you are with that individual township. And so I guess last thing, I would just close with saying that when you're looking at splitting land right now, it's a lot different than it used to be 4 years ago. If you're looking at splitting land, and splitting land means anything less than 40 acres, please contact my office, and I can walk you through that process. So it's a lot different than it used to be. The old policy was just go out there, give me 3 acres, give me 60 foot of road frontage, and split it. It's a lot different right now, and so we need to make sure that people are following the new zoning regulations. We really didn't have a lot of changes, I think, in the zoning end. We have a lot of changes on the subdivision end and the divisions of property. So with that, I'll close or stand for any questions if you have those now.
On the culvert part there for the existing properties, if they were put in way before, are those grandfathered in where the county and the township are still responsible for those then? In other words, they were put in years before you guys said, okay, we'll take responsibility for that. Got grandfathered in then, they don't have to worry about that.
Question was regarding culverts that were put in way before the policy and stuff. Are they grandfathered in? And the answer to that would say be yes. Public Works question, but yeah, so anything that's put in before the policy went in place would definitely be grandfathered in and stuff. Now, if that pipe is destroyed or so, then that's going to be a different story. Just like in the zoning world, where if a building is destroyed, you got to come into compliance with the new regulations. And so, trying to think of an example that might be relevant, if you had a pipe that was not a corrugated metal pipe, for example, if it was, a bunch of old barrels, say, for example, and those are destroyed and you need to replace that, chances are you're not going to be able to put the old barrels back into our right of way. You got to go buy a corrugated metal pipe, at that point in time. But your answer is essentially, yeah, grandfather at that point.
Sorry.
Anything else?
Right.
If not, I'll be around. Yes, Anita, the lady in the background.
When you're doing the road right away, does it have to be surveyed? So you have that copy and you have to have so many feet? You have to have the approval of the township or the county
When you're doing the road right of way,
to get into the property?
as far as zoning goes, yes. So the new zoning regulations, a couple of provisions put in place. 165 foot of road frontage is required for the division of a property. We also have what we call a width to depth ratio. So that width to depth ratio for residential properties is going to be 3 to 1. And so what that means is that the length and the width can have no more than a 3 to 1 ratio between the two. If you want a long skinny property, for example, if you want something like 1,000 foot of length into a property, then you're going to have to give me more road frontage. We're trying to do away with the long skinny, what we call flag lot properties, that just have 100 foot of road frontage that goes back several hundred feet. That's really unusable land. We're trying to get away from that kind of stuff. That doesn't help the property owner. That doesn't have help anybody as far as development of that property. I know there was the question later on putting a second house on the property. We have a lot of long skinny properties out there, greater than 3 acres, perfectly able to be split, perfectly able to be built on with a second house, a third house, but there's not that road frontage. It's just a long skinny tract of land. And so back in the day when those were split, the county didn't do those property owners at that time any favors of letting them split off 100-foot strip of land that goes back a quarter of a mile. And so the only way that those people can really do that is to plat and build a public road. And as you know, probably as well as anybody, building a public road is not cheap, and so it essentially just locks that parcel down to a 10-acre tract. And so at such time as somebody commits to do that, and are you going to build a public road just to build a second or maybe a third house on the property? Probably not due to that cost, because it has to be a public road. We're not going to allow a private road. We're not going to allow it to be divided on an easement or an egress easement, those types of things anymore. So that's where the subdivision regulations really took a big turn, I think, in the county.